Okay, so we're going to go through an exercise to teach the dogs to not get so spazzy when we leash them up or attach their harnesses. Now, because the Guardians have some hearing issues, we have the luxury of well, not luxury, but we are awesomely amazed to have, what is your name?
Victoria.
Victoria, who is going to translate for us. So if you're watching at home hearing impaired, you'll be able to get the same benefits. Now, when we do these things repetitively, and the dog gets a reward at the end of the activity, it causes them to start getting more and more excited. I'm going to stop motioning. And so if we can do these things over and over without the end result that gets the dog excited, we can teach them to eliminate that overexcited behavior. Most people confuse excited for happy when it comes to dogs, but excited is an unbalanced state of mind. I want my dogs to be calm, no matter what they're doing. Okay, so the first step of this is going to be for us to get up and walk towards where the actual leashes are. Now, the leashes are typically on the other side of this wall. I've relocated them to here just so that we can ease it in for the shot. But what we're going to do is the first stage, and actually our gentleman over here is going to be doing this first stage. So what he's going to do is he's going to get up and walk towards where the leashes are. As soon as the dogs walk in front, he's going to stop and he's going to go sit back down. For dogs, whoever is in front is considered in the leadership position. So if we let the dog walk in front of us and continue our path, we're saying it's okay yeah, you can lead me. So by immediately stopping, going and sitting down, and not saying anything, we can communicate to the dogs that as soon as you take the leadership position, the thing that you are excited about is not going to happen. Now, it's not going to happen anyways, because the whole point of this is desensitizing them. But we want them to learn that they need to follow the humans, which is going to be a big impactor on these dogs who love to bark. Okay, so the first step is just to get up and walk towards where the leash is. Anytime either dog walks in front, we turn and walk away. Now, if the dogs start out in front of you, you can kind of keep going anyways. Ideal situation, you want to have the dogs to the side, so when you get up, they already start out behind you. Now, as soon as they get in front, we're going to sit down. Hopefully we can do this in one shot, but if we do it multiples is why I'm explaining all this here. Now, once we can get up and walk to where the leashes are, the next step, sorry, I'm talking a little bit fast. The next step is reaching for the leash. Now, for a lot of dogs, as soon as we reach, they start barking, they run in circles, they spin in circles, and you can see animation from them. So as soon as I reach and the dogs get excited, he's going to stop and he's going to go sit down. We're going to wait for the dogs to return to a completely calm state. Most people keep going too far, too fast, or they don't let the dogs settle down completely, and that they get more and more effervescent the more they do. It might take several times before we can actually touch it. And then when we touch it, we're going to have the jingly of the sound of those two attachments jingling each other, and that's going to probably set them off. And if we get to the point where we're picking it up and they get excited, we put it back, go sit back down. And we're going to repeat this process until they are completely calm throughout the whole procedure. Now, the third stage is to actually attach it to the dog's leash or collar, or in this case, a harness. Now, because dogs have a tendency to get really, to move around when they're fired up, we have a tendency to chase them. This becomes a game for a lot of dogs. One of the things I mentioned off camera is we always want the dogs to come to us as the authority figures. So if I turn to attach the leash to the dog and the dog walks away, I put it back and I go sit back down. Now, in this case, we have two dogs. That makes it more difficult. A lot of people just train both dogs simultaneously, and they think it's going to be more efficient. We're going to try to do it here, but if the dogs are working against us, it might be better to have one dog upstairs and one of us practice this with just one dog at a time. Okay, so I'm gonna sit back here and I'm direct from the side. You're gonna kind of mirror him so that you can kind of translate for anybody watching at home. So the dogs are nice and relaxed. I'm gonna sit down, and when I sit down, oh, he got a little bit up. But let's go ahead and pan to the dogs so that we can show the dogs. Okay, so now you're going to shoot him. And why don't you come, well, I'm going to let you walk wherever you'd like to walk. But I'm going to have you get up and actually, yeah, if you could come back here, just because you're kind of standing between where the leashes are. Perfect. All right, whenever you're ready, go ahead and get up and start walking towards where the leashes are. Go ahead and pick them up.
Pick it.
Mm-hmm. Tell them to SIT.
Sit.
Oh, put it back. And go sit back down. Now you were moving a little bit slowly. I would just move at a normal rate of pace. They're both pretty calm. He's staying, Crash is staying there. Let's see what they do. Let's give them a chance to settle. They are pretty calm. But let's wait for them to SIT. Okay, they passed you, so go ahead and get up and try it again. Oh, turn around. Turn around. He walked in front. Now, one thing you'll notice, we're not correcting them. We're not telling them what to do. We're simply just stopping the minute they do the wrong thing. This sometimes takes a lot of repetition. Patience is a virtue, they say, and when it comes to dog behavior and training, it is an absolute necessity. So we have a little bit of wiggle butt. Good job. All right, once he up, a little bit more, a sharper hiss for that. There you go. Oh, let's go ahead and try it again. Tell him to SIT.
Sit.
Go ahead and start attaching. And drop that leash. We don't have to put it on both of them. Detach. And put it back. And I just leave it just right there. Don't put it too far down. There you go. Make it a little bit faster to repeat in the future. Normally, would he have calmed down this fast?
Probably not, no.
Okay. So it just shows we're already making some progress. Now, he was pretty calm until we put that on him, and we're doing this a little different. The dogs wear harnesses. Usually attaching the harness is what works the dogs up. So I would do that separately. Now, this is not on topic, but if you want to disagree with this, a sharp hiss. Shoot the dogs real quick. So if you disagree with that behavior and you hiss before they get too intense, you can go ahead and achieve it. Let's go ahead and do it again.
Sit.
Oh, put it back. Now I know this is probably not the most exciting footage. That's kind of the point. A lot of people move too fast with their dogs, and that's the rate of pace for our society today. But when it comes to dogs, we really need to go at whatever pace the dog can go. Because the dog is the one that ultimately displaying the behavior that we do or don't want. So if a child doesn't know how to get his multiplication tables, we don't get angry at the child. We give them extra time and patience, maybe work after school. Just a good illustration of how we might need to work with this a little bit more. They're settled, they're on the ground, so let's go ahead and try it again. The excited one, Crash, didn't
Sit.
even approach yet.
Sit.
Just put that one up, back up, and just sit down. This will be a little bit different than what I normally do. And grab a seat. Now for dogs, I'm sorry, I'm gonna wait until it's cleared. For dogs, dragging the leash around unsupervised can be dangerous. So if you're watching this at home, this is okay to leave the leash on the dog temporarily as long as it's gonna stay in your eyesight. But if it's not, make sure you take the leash off. Once he LAYs, go ahead and get up and try again. I would have him come a little closer. Take a knee. Take a knee. And tap the floor where you want him. Oh, that'll work too. There you go. Drop the leash and just go sit down. This is different than what I would normally do. This is probably a good illustration of where I would separate the dogs and practice with Crash by himself. And same thing with Beast. But because of this video, we want to just keep on going. Now you see he laid down, but that's Crash that's doing the whining. So if you are going to take this method or this approach, when you have both dogs leashed up, if one of the dogs is still pacing or whining or doing what he's doing, there you go.
Off.
We would just wait until he completely settles down. Now, one of the other things that I'd like to talk about on this is, I'll stand up, is we want to practice leashing the dogs up. In this case, initially 4 or 5 times for every time that we do attach the leash or the harness and go for a ride or go on an adventure. This way, the dog sees, well, this is a 1 in 5 chance of me going for an adventure rather than a 100% chance. Now, if it's too much for them to do the leashes and the harnesses, maybe we just practice just the harness. Now, one last little thing about dogs and generalization before we end this video, because this is way longer than I normally like to do. Dogs don't generalize. So I might be able to sit in this room. And a lot of us, when we sit or we practice with our dog, we do it in one location. Then we go to a different location and we try to get the dog to exhibit the same behavior, and they react differently. We get upset because we're like, you know how to do this. Generally speaking, it takes dogs about 20 approximations or 20 different variations of whatever it is before they actually really absorb it and can generalize that same thing for other scenarios. So when you're practicing this, in this scenario, the leashes are kept in a certain place, so we're probably going to do this. But for other exercises, you want to try to practice it in your living room, your dining room, your basement, your bedroom, your backyard, your garage. The more locations you do, the easier it becomes for the dog in different unknown variations in the future. But again, for the leash exercise, we're probably just going to do this one, the same one. But I would maybe do it at different times of the day. Do it with the TV on, with the stereo on, with the lights on, with the lights off, morning, afternoon, when somebody has a snack. So we're going to work in as many variables as we can for the room. All right. This is how you can get your dogs to not spaz out when you attach the leash to them.